Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed.
Hi everyone, I'm Michal Russo, and today I want to talk to you about something that many people have questions about: breathing practices in yoga. So this topic is very personal for me because before I came back fully into alignment with Christ, I was a yoga teacher, and I even taught yoga for the United States Army at Fort Sill. And my specialty was this thing called vinyasa yoga. For those of you that aren't familiar, it's basically a style of yoga where every movement is synchronized with breath. And the idea is that you flow in unity with body, soul, and yes, spirit. And at the time, I didn't believe that this is what I was teaching. I really thought it was something just healthy and beneficial for mind and body. I ignored that soul portion and I tried to keep that spirit bit in a box contained only in the ancient roots of the practice and far from what I was doing as yoga, right? Sound familiar? Well, to be real, from a medical perspective, deep breathing is absolutely beneficial and it can calm your central nervous system, reduce stress, regulate your heart rate, and improve oxygen flow throughout the body, as well as stretching, right? In the military, we know they use breathing techniques. They regulate stress response with them, and it's one of the most common. It's called square breathing. And you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and then you hold again. And this is the type of breathing that helps stabilize the nervous system during a high stress situation. It's highly effective, and I want to say this very clearly at the beginning. Breathing deeply is not wrong. Please don't let anyone tell you that. But learning how to calm your body, it's not wrong. Stretching, it's not wrong. I was an athlete myself. I was a competitive swimmer for over 20 years, and breath control was obviously something that was essential to my performance. But the breathing used in yoga, please hear this, it's not just a physical technique. I'm going to explain to you why. It comes from a specific spiritual system. And being raised up as a pastor's kid, I knew in my soul that it belonged to Jesus, right? But I didn't fully understand what yokes were. I didn't understand them spiritually in any sense of the word. I mean, it's clearly mentioned in the Bible, right? Matthew 11:28-30, Jesus says to actually take his yoke upon us. And then I looked up the Sanskrit meaning of yoga, and spoiler alert, guys, it means to yoke. We're gonna get there. But finally, I let this reality of it being a spiritual system settle in my spirit, in my soul. And then once I understood that system, it changed everything. But let me backtrack and quickly cover what pranayama is. Okay, so in yoga, breathing practices are called pranayama. And this word comes from Sanskrit, which is an ancient liturgical language. It's used in the religious Hindu texts. And so this word pranayama has two parts. Prana means life force energy, and it refers to the spiritual energy believed to animate all living things, okay? And yama means to control, restrain, or discipline. So pranayama put together literally means the control of harnessing of a life force energy. If that's not ringing red bells for you already, this is where yoga moves beyond simple breathing exercises. In the philosophy of yoga, breath is not just oxygen entering the lungs, right? It's believed to be the movement of spiritual energy through the body. Those of you that know the Hebrew word ruach, that's the Holy Spirit. That's the energy of spirit that we want moving through our body. So practitioners are taught that by controlling the breath, they can control this quote unquote energy and eventually awaken a higher state of consciousness. This is why breathwork is such a central part of a yoga practice. But to understand why, we need to look at the larger system that pranayama comes from. It's the 8 limbs of yoga. And it's literally what yoga is built on, this philosophical framework, if you will, called the 8 limbs of yoga. And it's kind of essential to understand this because it is literally the hidden root that many will not tell you about in your gym or in your yoga studio even. But if you go to get registered as a certified teacher, then you're going to have to learn this like I did. And these 8 limbs are literally the base and the foundation of yoga, and they come from the Yoga Sutras, which were written by a guy named Patanjali, who is often considered the father of classical yoga. You can look him up. These 8 limbs, they outline a path towards spiritual, quote unquote, enlightenment. That's the goal. So these first 2 limbs are moral disciplines, okay? The first is called yama. Maybe you recognize it from pranayama, and it refers to ethical restraints such as nonviolence or truthfulness and non-possessiveness, right? But I explained that earlier. I said it explains discipline and restraint. So the second is niyama, and that refers to a personal observance, something like a purity or a discipline or a self-study. Then you get to the third limb, which is asana. And this is the one that most of you know. It's literally the physical postures that you take, and most people associate that with yoga today. They are literally the poses and the stretches and the movements that have become popular in the modern yoga classes. So the physical poses are only the beginning. Can you see that? Now we get to the fourth limb, and this is where pranayama lives, and that's the breath control. And so you can see you're using that discipline from the yama to control the prana, life force energy. So you've arrived at the fourth limb, okay? And once someone moves from asana into pranayama, I want you to catch this. It's so important. I missed it for 10 years. That's when the practice begins shifting from physical conditioning into a literal spiritual discipline from which it cannot be unyoked because it's at the root. So after pranayama, the very next limbs are no longer physical at all. They're not. The fifth limb is called pratyahara, which means withdrawal of the senses. Now maybe red flags are going off, right? You can hear the dinging. But this is when the practitioner of yoga begins to turn their awareness inward and literally intentionally detach from the external world. Now that lured me under the guise of peace, right? And blocking negative energy. The sixth limb is dharana. And this is like focused concentration where the mind is trained. Maybe you've heard the word mantra, mind trained. That's Sanskrit too, yeah. And it means that you're training your mind to fix its attention on a single point. This is a form of Eastern meditation. The seventh limb is dhyana. And there is meditation. It's literally where you've combined all those other 6 limbs, okay? And you're using it to concentrate deeper into this uninterrupted flow of awareness where you're detached from everything. So it's only self-awareness. Catch that. And then the 8th is the final limb in samadhi. Guess what the goal of that one is? Samadhi is described as a state of complete absorption into the divine consciousness. So your external awareness has been so honed and you're so deep in your own self that now you've ascended beyond yourself and you've been absorbed into this divine consciousness. And it's considered the point where the individual self literally dissolves into what yoga philosophy calls the quote unquote universal divine. They use a capital D there, and I'm just going to tell you who that is. Brahman. Look him up. So in other words, the goal of yoga is not relaxation, guys. I was duped. So if you were duped, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because, man, what a good trick. And the goal is spiritual union. That's what the Hindu philosophy calls Brahman. That's the universal divine consciousness that you're absorbing into willingly, intentionally. And so I guess you're probably wondering, like, how does breath fit into all of this? We've gone far from breath, right? No. Look at this. Ready? Pranayama becomes significant because in traditional yoga, breathing isn't just practiced in isolation. It's literally combined with several other elements. One of those elements is the asana, which we went over, right? That physical posture portion. Another is drishti. Okay, this is a focused eye gaze. And if you look at ancient yogic art from Mohenjo-daro in Pakistan, you're going to see they always have their eyes looking somewhere, right? And in many yoga practices, eyes are directed toward a specific point to help anchor the soul, which is your mind. Another component is the mudras. This is like a super famous one. You guys have probably seen it, right? This is like literally a symbolic hand gesture that is believed to direct energy. So you're using your breath, you're using your body, you're using your drishti, your eyes, you're using your hands in mudras. Ooh. And then another element is the chakra system. It's all integrated. So chakras are energy centers within the body. They're fundamental to the yogic practice and to the Vedas. And so when these components are all practiced together, If you're seeing it come together here now, I pray to God you are. The practitioner now, the yogini that I used to call myself, is believed to move prana, the life force energy, through the body's energetic pathways, all through the chakras, aligning every limb and your actual limbs, right, to try to reach the eighth limb samadhi, yoga. So breath, posture, gaze, hand seals, and meditation all work together within this same system. And this is why Vinyasa Yoga, every movement, is coordinated with breath, because the breath is believed to guide the movement of energy. Is it clocking? So what may appear to be a physical exercise is actually part of a spiritual ritual designed to awaken consciousness. And we would be remiss not to touch on the historical roots here, because if you're like me, you're saying I can disconnect those things. I can put them in a box and package them up. But yoga did not originate as a fitness program, guys. It literally comes from ancient Hindu philosophical texts, and some of the earliest references appear in something called the Rig Veda. It's one of the oldest sacred texts of Hinduism, like 5,000 BCE is when this thing dates. And later writings are called the Upanishads, which literally expanded on these ideas found in the Rig Veda and explored concepts of spiritual enlightenment and union with the divine. Catch the word union. These culminate into the Bhagavad Gita, which also describes yogic paths to liberation, and obviously a very sacred Hindu text. And eventually, Patanjali, who I formerly mentioned quickly, he compiled the Yoga Sutras, and this is an organized teaching into the eightfold path, those 8 limbs we went over, that many yoga traditions literally still follow today. They are the fundamental basis of it. Might not look like that in a modern studio, but that's what's at the core of this, and somebody needs to tell more people. That's why I'm doing this. Okay, it's such a hard message to give, but when people practice yoga today, even in modern fitness environments, they are participating in a system that was originally designed for spiritual awakening. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty of breathing, which I said, please don't think that's bad. It's not. Please don't stop breathing. And then pranayama. So this is an important distinction, because breathing deeply is not inherently spiritual or harmful. Athletes practice breath control. Doctors recommend breathing exercises to regulate stress. I wish they would stop recommending yoga, just say breathing and stretching. But anyway, and I'll tell them, and you should tell them too next time you're at the doctor. The military obviously uses breathing techniques to stabilize soldiers under pressure. My husband's a Marine. It works. Please keep doing that, guys, out in the field. But even in prayer, we sometimes pause, we breathe, and we center ourselves before the Lord, right? We say it's coming into his presence. Okay, there's a key distinction between that and pranayama being not just breathing. What's the goal of pranayama? It's breathing within a spiritual framework designed to harness life force energy and move the practitioner toward enlightenment. And that framework is what makes the difference. So let's bring this to a biblical perspective, because we know that the Bible speaks about breath. In Hebrew, the word, I said it earlier, ruach, it means breath, it means wind, it means spirit. And in Genesis, we see God breathing life into Adam, and breath represents life that comes directly from the Creator, Yahweh. And so the Bible never teaches that we manipulate spiritual energy to ascend to divine consciousness. It's literally the opposite. More of him, less of us. So instead, life comes from God himself. Peace comes from the presence of the Holy Spirit and not trying to control some cosmic energy. And believers, our relationship with God is not about dissolving into a universal consciousness. Like, it's just not. It's about relationship with him. And so knowing the living God through Jesus Christ alone is what it's all about. I want to leave you with this encouragement. There is literally nothing wrong with taking a deep breath. And there is nothing wrong with calming your nervous system or caring for your body. But we should always understand the spiritual framework behind the practices that we engage in. Yoga presents breath as a pathway to awakening the divine within. The gospel teaches something very different. The gospel teaches that we are not divine. No, we are created by God. He alone is divine, loved by him wholly, and invited into relationship with him through Yeshua, Jesus Christ. So true peace does not come from manipulating energy. True peace comes from the presence of God alone. And that peace is available to every one of us through Christ.